topic that's always on people's minds, particularly when they have an automobile accident, is property damage claims. So what we'll do is talk a little bit about that. And again, this is an introductory video, so we're not going to go into the level of detail that we would otherwise. We just want to give you an overview. But basically, when it comes to property damage claims, you have two main choices. Number one, you can go through your own insurance company under what's called the collision portion of the policy, or you can go through the at-fault parties insurance company under their property damage coverage. And I want to talk a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages of each. When the person goes through their own insurance company, some of the advantages are, number one, they're generally dealing with a more sympathetic insurance company because that's your insurance company.
You're doing business with them.
Right. You generally have a lot more a lot more input as to where the vehicle is going to be fixed and, by extension, the quality of the repairs.
Exactly.
Typically, it's quicker. It's a little bit faster when you go through your own insurance company because they're more responsive to you. One of the disadvantages...
And you don't have to wait for your insurance company to complete their liability investigation. That's another thing that makes it faster.
Exactly. One of the disadvantages of going through your own insurance company is having to pay the deductible. Let's say you have a $500 deductible. That amount will be deducted from whatever the repair costs are, and you're responsible for coming up with that amount.
That being said, some insurers are offering accident forgiveness and waiving that deductible, but they're not going to tell you about that. You have to ask. So you need to be proactive and ask about that if your insurer or your policy offers you that option.
We've been talking about kind of the advantages and disadvantages of the client going through their own insurance company. Why don't you talk about the advantages and disadvantages of going through the at-fault parties insurance company?
The big advantage of going through the at-fault parties insurance is that deductible that you talked about. It doesn't apply. So you will not be out of pocket any funds. Also, if you don't have that collision coverage, because it is an optional coverage, if you chose not to have that on your policy, then you're going to need to go through the at-fault party to get your vehicle repaired or to have your total loss assessed and attended to. That being said, the at-fault party has a list, their insurance carrier has a list of steps that they have to complete. And until they complete those steps to their investigation, they can't accept liability. So unless and until they accept liability in your claim, they're not able to repair your vehicle and they're not able to offer you a rental. So, the upside is you're not out that deductible. The other upside is if you didn't purchase coverage on your policy since it was optional, then you can go through them and still get your vehicle repaired. It just can take maybe a few days or it can take a few months, and it's outside of their control. Sometimes it's policy issues, whether someone was insured or not. Sometimes it's a vehicle issue, whether the vehicle was insured or not. Sometimes people produce an insurance card at the scene that isn't valid, and that policy had already lapsed or something. There's a lot of work on the adjuster's part because it's the other party's insurance. You don't have a contract with them. They don't work for you. So they have to go through all these steps before they can offer you any solutions to your problem.
To what extent is our office involved in resolving the property damage claim?
It used to be in the beginning, when Paul and I first started out together, this was a negotiable situation that, we could kind of work on it, we could get them to raise the offer a little bit, and in the 20-some years that we've been doing this, obviously technology has come a long way. And because of that, the value of your vehicle, and it is only fair market value, the insurer is only required to pay you the fair market value for your vehicle.
That's if it's a total loss.
Well, yes. They're only required to pay fair market value if your vehicle is a total loss, not what you owe, but fair market value. And the way they're coming up with these values is it's all computerized now, and it's pretty locked in, and there is no more negotiating or wiggle room in there. The only way that there's wiggle room in some of these total loss evaluations and in some of these property damage estimates is if they missed something or they got some information wrong. So if your car was super pristine and it was amazing and it had less miles than average, but they didn't give you credit for that, it can increase your total loss value. So that's one of the things that comes into play.
And that's really what you're saying, is that the client can handle the property damage claim directly through the insurance company. Yes. We would get involved only if there's a problem like one of the ones that you described. Exactly. Maybe we need to kind of give it that final push, because the reality is this.
we can't do anything anymore. At the end of the day,
Right.
all that was happening by having an attorney's office involved is we were slowing down the process and clogging up the system. You know, there's nothing that we could decide. We don't know if the client wants to accept a value for their vehicle or not. We don't know if your vehicle was in great shape and they didn't give you credit for that. That's all things that you can talk to the insurance company about. Whether it's your insurer or the other party's insurer, you can speak with them directly about those issues, and that is the only thing that you should be speaking with any insurer about, is the damage and repairs or the total loss to your vehicle. Other than that, you should not be talking to them at all. You should just politely tell them your attorney represented, give them my name and my direct dial phone number and have them call me. Just be very polite about it, you know, answer the phone, tell them I have an attorney, this is my paralegal's name and number, you know, call Monica and she'll answer all your questions. The minute you say that your attorney represented, they know that they aren't allowed to talk to you anymore.
I want to stress the importance of that.
So important.
The clients can talk to the insurance companies, whichever one they elect to go through, only about the property damage claim. They are not to have any conversations with any of the insurance companies about injury claims. So typically what happens, we'll give the viewers kind of an example, is they'll call up and they'll be reporting an accident, for example, and the first thing they'll say is anyone injured? The answer to that question is yes, but I am represented by an attorney. This is the attorney's name. This is the information for the attorney's paralegal. In this case, of course, it's Monica Case, and you would give that information.
But if you've already talked to the insurance company before you talk to us, it's okay. That's all right, it happens. Sometimes you've already reported the accident right away from the scene, or even before you thought to consult counsel. We work with that all the time, and that is not a problem for us. We can work with that. And you want to be mindful of not giving a recorded statement. That doesn't mean you're not talking on a recorded line. Almost every insurer will tell you that the line is recorded, but they have to specifically tell you before they take your recorded statement, so you will know. And if you haven't already given one once you've retained us as your attorneys, we ask you to be sure not to do that.